The Exorcist Believer is a film with no redeeming qualities. There was no attempt to make this film anything special, anything with any sort of significance or artistic integrity or style of any kind. The Exorcist Believer provides nothing new, nothing even mildly interesting. All the film provides you is a cacophony of loud noises and bad exposition. Universal invested $400 million for the rights of the Exorcist franchise. Now that's a lot of dough. Blumhouse was also involved in this film. They were also involved in the new Halloween trilogy, directed by David Gordon Green, who of course also directed Exorcist Believer. As far as I know, the Exorcist franchise rights they bought include not just films and series, but also the right to use their stuff for theme parks and experiences, branding, so they can make t-shirts and include it Universal Horror Nights and stuff like that. So in the end, Universal, could they make their money back? Before we get into that, let's first talk about the film itself, the story, the characters, the scares, or lack thereof. The initial 20 minutes of the film pretends to focus on character development, but it doesn't really effectively deliver on telling you anything about these characters. Instead, it just paints them as kind of cliche stereotypes. There are frightening scenes, such as a guy taking photos of a family. Whoa, I know, that's really intense. If you've seen the trailer, you know what happens next. The girls go missing, the parents go to look for them, and you see the parents worried and scared, and this is when I want to compare The Exorcist Believer to a little film called Prisoners. And I know Prisoners is not a horror film. I think what makes this film work so well is that the reaction of the parents to their kid going missing feels believable and isn't corny at all, in parallel to The Exorcist Believer, where these scenes do feel very corny.
Where are they? Okay, it's okay.
Where could they be?
Hey, listen up.
That's what we need to worry about.
I know you're all upset. I know you're all stressed.
In Prisoners, these moments of anguish and grief further inform the characters' decisions later on in the film. However, in The Exorcist Believer, these scenes don't really matter so much. They eventually find the girls. They run tests on the girls at the hospital and they seem fine.
We conducted rigorous physical exams and cognitive interviews. There's no sign of distress, no evidence of sexual assault. Toxicology is normal.
However, when the girls go home, they exhibit some strange behavior, to say the least. In one scene, Leslie Odom Jr. is attacked by his daughter. This girl also has a freak out at church. The parents come to one unanimous conclusion, that the strange behavior must be Satan. That's right, Christianity is behind it all. A large portion of this film is devoted to them finding all of the people they need to perform the exorcism. It's like 20 minutes of the film is this shit. I saw other reviews mention that it feels like an Avengers team up. Priests come together and try to rid the girls of their demon. The exorcism scene toward the end is just so fucking stupid.
Is that Catherine's heartbeat?
They're beating in sync.
Wow, synchronized heartbeat. Very scary stuff. Very intrigued right now, as you can tell by the tone of my voice.
Their vibrations are strong.
The Beach Boys would say they are good vibrations. Then they have explosive diarrhea. Leslie Odom Jr.'s character confronts another character outside the house. Because he's scared of the exorcism, Leslie Odom Jr. just says, "What are you, being a little bitch?" So the guy goes in there and he just gets murdered by the demon. The worst part is, Russell Crowe isn't even there doing an accent. There's a plot twist involving the demon forcing the parents to choose which child to sacrifice. The dad of the white girl, whatever her name is, chooses her.
I choose Catherine! I choose her!
But then it's revealed that the demon was actually choosing the one to sacrifice, so the other girl lives, Leslie Odom Jr.'s daughter. Wow, what a happy ending, I guess.
That's all any God or any good person really wants from us.
The finale of the film just has no emotional weight. There are some things I didn't even mention, like his wife being dead as part of his backstory. I didn't mention Ellen Burstyn getting her eyes stabbed out. Most of the film is padded out, like that segment of them assembling all the different priests. They're trying to develop an ensemble of characters that you can relate to, and also they're trying to carry over these characters into the next films if they decide to make those. But in the end, you just don't give a shit about these characters. This is when I want to draw comparisons to the original Exorcist film. The original Exorcist, directed by the late William Friedkin, is one of the most iconic and frightening horror films of all time. The story is centered around the McNeil family, who are battling a demon who's possessed their daughter Reagan. What's so gripping about The Exorcist is it focuses on the people around the possession. There's lots of interesting conflict, such as a priest's lack of faith when confronting a demon. There is an absence of interesting conflict in Exorcist Believer, other than if the studio's gonna recoup their money back. There are many iconic scenes that have had a lasting impact even to this day, such as Reagan spinning her head around.
With the Father and the Holy Spirit. Damien!
Which is of course replicated in this shitty movie. Why not include Pazuzu from Exorcist 2 while you're at it?
Pazuzu.
The Exorcist has had a tremendous impact on horror filmmaking for its story and its tension. It's one of Friedkin's best movies, right up there with The French Connection, which I also recommend you check out. I also watched Exorcist 2: The Heretic for this recording. I didn't get to Exorcist 3, which is actually directed by the same guy who wrote the first film, William Peter Blatty. The franchise has been asleep for a while until recently. There's already been 5 films and 1 TV series leading up to this point. After they milked Halloween for all it was worth, they figured, what other 70s horror properties could we exploit? Well, how about The Exorcist? Now, David Gordon Green is a director who I feel is a mixed bag, but I really don't like his Halloween films. I thought Halloween Ends was one of the worst films of 2022. Even worse than Blacklight with Liam Neeson. Oh, Liam. The Exorcist Believer contains just all of the worst elements of the Halloween films that he made. They constantly include stuff from the original Exorcist film to remind you of it. Oh, remember the Exorcist theme song? Remember Chris MacNeil played by Ellen Burstyn? It comes across as so desperate and pathetic. Of course, they had to include Linda Blair at the end of the film. Maybe Linda Blair will play a larger role in upcoming films that probably won't be made now. When the soundtrack isn't relying on recycling themes from the original Exorcist film, it's just a bland and forgettable score. Same goes for every other aspect of the film, including the cinematography choices. The religious and psychological themes explored in this film are not nearly as interesting as those in the original. The characters and their motivations as a whole are just less interesting. A compelling aspect of the marketing was 2 girls being possessed by demons instead of 1 girl. It's intriguing, at least. It's certainly cool to put on the poster. Now there are 2 Reagans. But that's really the only trick this film has up its sleeve. All these horror reboots, reimaginings, soft reboots, sequels, whatever you want to call them, have had mixed outcomes. There have been some good ones, such as Prey, the spin-off to Predator. But for the most part, it's kind of stale. It's a lot like a film like Jurassic World Dominion, where characters from the original film show up for no reason and do nothing. They're just there to bring back feelings of nostalgia. But it ends up feeling so cheap. Everything we've seen in this film has been replicated and done so many times it's become cliche, much to films like The Exorcist and Halloween's credit. They did what they wanted to do so well that everyone's been copying them for 50 years now. The new film marks the beginning of a projected reboot trilogy. They likely plan to release all 3 films theatrically, followed by or coinciding with a home release on Peacock, much like the newest Halloween trilogy. Now, despite them spending so much money on the rights, The Exorcist Believer had a $26.4 million opening domestically and had a $136 million worldwide gross. David Gordon Green has since dropped out of directing the next few Exorcist films. I guess he wasn't a believer in the franchise. I just wanted to end this with one last fuck you to Blumhouse for milking classic horror movies for money and greed. Shame on you. This film is a total piece of shit.
Hey, Ralph!
Oh, that's right. I forgot I was in a Russian gulag.
Well, not for long, because I have a plan to escape from here.
Okay, that's it? What's the plan?
You'll find out next time.
Oh, come on, man. Who knows when the next review is gonna be?
No. Next time. It does involve an exorcism, though.
Thanks for watching my review of Exorcist Believer. Thank you. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the review. This movie sucked and I just wanted to rip it to shreds, and I hope I did. Alright, bye-bye. Take care.